Welcome back to j.p. Sports Talks, episode number 5. Today we are joined by Luke Malaga, D1 commit, Cornell football player, wide receiver. Luke, great to have you.
Great to be here, boys. I'm ready for a fun time.
Yeah, can't wait. So, Jack, would you like to start us off? The plan for today is go over some things about recruiting, how Luke handles it, maybe some high school football, and then we'll get into maybe NFL talk a bit later.
Yeah.
Jack, you want to start?
Yeah, so Luke, you are currently at York High School, right?
Yeah, I'm a senior.
And you're a senior, so you'll be going to Cornell next year, D1 commit. What was it like for you getting offers from a D1 school, especially Cornell, a well-known school? Like, what's that feeling for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was really exciting. Obviously, it was a long process. Really, the bulk of recruiting kind of happens after your junior year. I luckily had a pretty good season.
Yeah.
And then you kind of email a lot of coaches, email schools you're interested in. Luckily, the Ivy League was kind of always one of my forefront of schools I would like to go to, just because I value the great academic side along with the great history of football. So yeah, Cornell, I got recruited by them pretty soon after my junior year ended. It was a long process. Obviously, our senior season kind of being in limbo, not having that in the fall, kind of made me a little bit nervous.
Mm-hmm.
But then, yeah, I mean, I had a decent amount of D3 offers, which were great, and I had some really good academic schools. And then my first D1 offer was actually from Valparaiso University in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really excited about that because my first D1 offer. But yeah, when the Cornell offer came, it was very exciting. I have a great relationship with the coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was the Ivy League. It's just kind of always my goal. And I visited back in the fall, and I love the campus. And yeah, it really seems like a great spot for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Just some some questions about whoever's watching this. How is high school football in the process to becoming D1? Obviously, you're D1. What do you have to do to become to that level?
Yeah, so high school football, it's all about really your work ethic. It starts as a freshman, but
Yeah.
a big year to develop for me was kind of going into my sophomore to junior year, because that's usually a lot of kids' first year on varsity. And then, I mean, it helps being in the conference I'm in. The West Suburban Conference is where York plays in. It's one of the best conferences in the state. A lot of great players come out of there, so you're playing great talent every week. And yeah, I mean, it's just luckily we have a new weight room, new field, really good facilities at York, so I'm blessed to be there.
Yeah.
Coach is awesome. So yeah, it's all about working hard individually, but also trying to be the best teammate you can be, and hopefully just leading your team. And yeah, I mean, high school is it's so fun. It's a great opportunity. And yeah, I mean, our coach in York does a great job of kind of in the off season. Obviously, our off season this year is a little different, but they do a great job in bringing coaches to watch us lift, to watch us play. So it was very Coach Fitzgerald in York was very helpful with recruiting and such, and being in this conference.
That's good. Another one from me is how do you want to keep schools interested without giving it away? If that's a matter to you, if that's a concern, if you want more schools to show interest, you said you got D3 offers, but if you wanted to work up D1, how do you say no but still say yes?
Yeah, so basically, when you get recruited, I believe that no matter what level the school is, you should give them a chance. You should give them your time. I had a lot of D3 schools recruit me, and obviously D3 is not the highest level in college, but they were great schools nevertheless, great coaching staffs. There's great people at all levels, and one thing that I've seen plenty of D3 coaches move up to D1 the next year. So you never want to, especially when you don't have a ton of attention, or you're not some guys will just turn off D3 right away, even when they don't have any of the other attention, which I don't understand. But the big thing was, I think you should honor it. You should be respectful. And for me, it kind of, I mean, a lot of D3 schools that I was really interested in was Bowdoin College in Maine and then Bates College in Maine, which are both really high academic schools. But yeah, I mean, you keep them in the loop along with your D1 schools. You kind of treat them the same. For me, kind of when it got down to it, kind of weeding out the schools I wasn't going to go to was kind of the schools that I didn't feel wanted at. Feeling wanted is a big thing, and the schools that I ultimately brought it down to were the schools that the coaches paid a lot of interest in me, and they called me and they talked to me, and they kind of spent their time with me. And time equity is huge in the process. It makes you really feel wanted and like you want to go there. So yeah, I mean, just because the school is D3 doesn't mean they deserve any less respect. Great football is all around. So yeah, I mean, it came down. Obviously, I ended up choosing D1 partly because it is D1 football and I wanted to play at the highest level, but it was also the right fit for me as well. And if I ended up not getting a couple D1 offers like I did, I would be perfectly fine with going to high academic D3 school and working my butt off. So yeah, it's kind of, I believe in the school, the best fit for you is where you should be at no matter what level it is.
Yeah. So when you were like either growing up or still even now, was there any one person, whether it was like a family member or a really like a coach that you really loved, or even like a professional sports player who was kind of someone that helped you fall in love with the game?
Yeah, for me, a big thing was my dad. He played college football, and he was from the start. He raised me to be an athlete, and he wasn't pushy. He didn't say you have to play football, you have to do this. He kind of let me. I played all the sports as a kid, and I've narrowed it down to myself. I love football myself. No one needed to tell me that, which I'm really happy that my dad didn't feel like he needed to force it on me.
Yeah.
So he's been obviously my role model my whole life since I was young. Someone else who's really helped me was my coach, Coach Fitzgerald. He's been great through the recruiting process, and he's great at York. He's built a really good culture on the football team, and he has a lot of connections in recruiting. And recently, I remember a big development period for me was the spring of this year, 2020, right when the coronavirus hit. Actually, I've started training with, his name's Mike Olson. He was a track coach at a junior college, and I'm kind of really good friends with his son. And we did speed training and worked hard. And last spring and now this spring, when the whole pandemic hit, we kind of made a home gym in their garage, and I've made huge strides through that. I've gotten much stronger, faster, and more explosive. So yeah, I've been blessed to have a lot of role models and trainers in my life that have helped me get to where I am. And being successful in anything, you have to have a good support system around you and people who care about you. And I've been lucky to have that.
Yeah.
All right. Just a quote was about football. It's like, especially for this year, 2020, like, for example, life is 90% of like what happens to you in time, or I'm sorry, football is 10% of what happens and 90% how you make it. Especially for Corona, how did you like rebound? And you said you got stronger, faster, and more explosive. How do you like, if you were telling somebody that wanted to play high school football and maybe move on to D1, how would you tell him like to work, I guess?
I mean, yeah, so that's a good point. There were plenty of times that when I was in grade school or like a lot of times before high school, all I heard was that going Division I, the chances are so small, the percentages are so small. That's all I heard, and like that kind of set a fire into my butt and frustrated me because, I mean, you don't want to hear that. You want to you don't want people to put you down. So that was kind of a thing that motivated me. I was like, no, I believe I can get there. And that's what I would stress to any high school recruit out there is that, and even if you're in grade school, like at your age, there's going to be a lot of people saying, oh, you can't do it. Division I is too hard. Just because that's like the common perception. And yes, a small percentage of people play Division I. That's true. But I believe if you work really hard and you put a lot of time into it, then it will pay off. And you'll at least get the opportunity. Like, a big thing for me is like I'm able to go through high school and leading up to, I knew no matter what college I would end up at, I worked my hardest to get there, and you have to be satisfied with that, right? So yeah, I would recommend support yourself with positive people. Positivity is huge, and don't really let those people kind of deject you from your goals. And yeah.
A few more questions, right? How do your teammates help you kind of like when you're on the field or just kind of in the process of becoming a really good football player, just doing it?
Yeah, I mean, I have great teammates. I'm lucky to be on a great team, and we're very close. But we have a lot of talent on our team, and it's nice to be surrounded by a lot of talent.
Hmm.
The good thing about us is like our team's very positive. We have a great culture. They're very supportive. There's never any like hard feelings toward, oh, like this dude does this or I don't think he can go D1. We all work hard together and we all support each other. And I've blessed, and we have a lot of talent on our team. We have a couple kids who are going to play college football, and that's kind of exciting to be with
Yeah.
other kids who care about that and work towards one common goal. And Coach Fitz was a huge proponent in kind of changing that culture when he came in, and it's really awesome to be a part of.
Yep.
All right. For me, you're obviously one of the best athletes on the field. Every Friday night, going D1. Have you ever played against someone who is going D1 FBS to a big school? Because those are obviously super rare, but
Yes. That's a great question because last year, again in the West Suburban Conference, there's D1 kids on almost every team I can think of, at least one on every team. But last year when I was a junior, we had a game against Glenbard West. I actually got hurt the game before that game, so I was banged up, but I kind of fought through it and played. And I went up. I'm a slot receiver, and the guy kind of on me was an outside linebacker, and he was a beast. I'm pretty sure his name was Graham Mertz, and he was 6'3", 200 something, a huge, like just an absolute unit, a stud. And he had a lot of D1 offers. He ended up going to Northwestern, so a Big Ten player, and going up against, and that was actually one of my best games against them. But yeah, that's what I love against playing in this conference. Like we go against great competition. I think that molds you, like that makes you a better player. That's a huge reason why I chose to go to York over some other schools because we play in 8A. There's 3,000 kids. Like it's the best of the best, and you're surrounded by the best of the best in the state and the teams in your conference. And I think that makes you a better player, and it also looks better for recruiting. If a recruiter, college coach sees you playing well against the best, he's gonna like be like, all right, this kid can play at the college level.
Yeah.
can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Sorry, I think I cut out there. Jack, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, I think just one more. How do you like stay calm under pressure? How do you kind of don't let your emotions or kind of just stay and focused during games, even when there's a lot on the line or if you're not having the best game?
Yeah. For me, I'm one of those people who loves the bright lights, and I love a good atmosphere. York has that. I mean, we pack the stands every night, and it's like a lot of people think it's daunting, but this is what I've noticed. When you prepare and you work hard during the week and during your life, you feel prepared. The nerves kind of go away. Like obviously you have those butterflies, but when I got in that varsity game for the first time, it almost felt like just another game to me. It didn't feel crazily different because I prepared. I was ready, and I was prepared physically before the game even there because I knew I worked hard to be there. I'm like, this is where I should be, and I'm going to do my thing. So, yeah, nerves are a part of sports. Nerves mean you care. It's good to have nerves, but I love I can tell in practice, like I consider myself like a gamer. Like practice is great and all, but when I get in a game, that's when I'm at my best.
Mhm.
I'm playing my best. I'm on my game, and mentally and physically. And yeah, so the bright lights at York are obviously bright. We
Yeah.
always have I remember our homecoming game was packed. Most of the games are packed. Friday nights, it's awesome. I'm hoping we can get something like that this spring if stuff clears up. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest key for like you young guys for being calm and collected is knowing that you prepared. Like if you know you're prepared, you shouldn't be worried about anything because you know you did the stuff.
Yeah.
And if you guys don't have any more questions, you could maybe ask one about like how coronavirus affected this season because that was kind of a big one for this year.
Yeah. How was it?
Yeah, so COVID, this was kind of tough year for it to hit because junior to senior summer and spring's the biggest year for recruiting. And even I think a lot of people look at your junior season as where you get recruited, which is true, but that front half of your senior season is big as well in the fall. It needs to be in the fall. But so that coronavirus, it was hard. I wasn't able to go to camps. Coaches weren't able to see us in person. So that's kind of where I dug deep. I really tried to make sure my junior film was very well done and it was efficient, it was clean, and coaches could see kind of what I can do. And that's when I really made strides in my weightlifting. I created a great base for myself. I've been in the gym every single day since March. I've just been super consistent with it. And I've used this opportunity to build on myself and make sure I'm the best I can be, because it's hard to see other kids. It's hard to be together. But yeah, I mean, that's affected guys in our team. It affected me. You could say if I had a senior season, I could have gotten more offers just because a lot of coaches like you as a junior but want to see a little bit more of the senior. Luckily, I'm blessed to get an offer that I really like, and I'm happy I have that. And even if I had some other offers, I would have gone with Cornell. But yeah, it's affected a lot. It's hard for the guys who are kind of on the bubble. I've seen it firsthand how not having senior season has hurt some of my friends, teammates, just because a lot of coaches want to see that kind of that transformation. They want to see you polished. They want to see you're a senior, like you should be the best you should be. So it's been hard. It's also very hard to see kids in other states playing, and we're not. But I'm hoping, I really hope we can play in the spring so I can just play one more season with my brothers, and then after that, it's moving on to college and being all in for that.
Yeah, I have a couple more questions myself, but I'll start with you mentioned the bright lights and the atmosphere that you love. You also mentioned your education, two of probably your top things to go to Cornell in your decision. What was the deal breaker for Cornell? Why'd you choose them? Couple reasons,
Yeah. So the great thing about Cornell, it was my dad actually played running back there at Cornell. So I had that, and he kind of instilled on me the importance of the Ivy League in general. That's why I kind of keyed on it early, because I knew that it's great. Like, I kind of look at football as a way to be able to get great education, right? Like getting into Cornell, yes, I have good grades and such, but football has kind of helped me get into a school, which is a top 20 school. That's kind of priceless. And yeah, I mean, it has a great campus. It's the biggest Ivy League school, which is nice. So it's not like super small. It's about 15,000 undergrad and then 21 altogether. Yeah. It's very pretty scenery. It's like in a great part of Ithaca, New York. And yeah, the coaches, the big thing is the coaches and feeling like family, and talking to the coaches, Coach Archer, the head coach, my recruiting coach, Coach Cascarano. We just built a great relationship. And yeah, relationships are huge, and it just felt like home, and it felt like a great place that I can be successful at.
Yeah, wow. If you don't have any more, Jack, I got a couple.
I have a few.
Okay, yeah, you go.
I'll elaborate on one more thing before you guys ask that. Yeah. Another great aspect of the Ivy League is like looking past college. Obviously, NFL is the goal for everyone, right? And I'll try my best to achieve that. But if that doesn't work, Cornell, the Ivy League specifically, gives you great opportunities to go get a job in New York City, to go to Boston, Philly. It has a great networking opportunities. So it's like looking long term as well. A lot of people say it's not a 4-year decision, it's a 40-year decision. And I fully believe that, because a Cornell degree just gets you in the door at a lot of places, and that's pretty priceless.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I'll save my question for last, because I think it's a good one to end on.
All right. In that case, I'll ask, like, high school football. Obviously, you've touched a bunch up on COVID and how you have to go, or you have to keep your mind focused. But could you see yourself passing your teammates almost? Was it always that you were maybe the best player on the field from the start, or could you see yourself working your way up? Was there a sense of accomplishment there?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of great. I mean, I've always had just God-given talent, and we have other players on our team. We have a lot of great players on our team. I think, and everyone who ends up playing Division One has some they have talent that they're just blessed with, right? And obviously, I had good genes because my dad played college football. But what separates you is how hard you work. And my goal was always to play Division One football. I had a direct goal in sight, and I tried to align my actions as best I could with that. And yeah, it's just the hard work. I mean, there are guys on my team that I think are deserving of Division One offers as well. We really have a lot of talented guys. I was just kind of blessed with being in a good situation. And yeah, it's the work you put in. And I'm not saying I'm more deserving than anyone else, but it's your situation. It's the hard work you put in, and obviously the talent you have is a big part of it. But yeah, the biggest thing that separates you, and I know it sounds cliche, but it's commitment and it's working hard and it's setting a goal. When you have a goal, it's easy to kind of stay on track, you know.
All right, I have one more before that's it. I have one more. You aren't like 6'5", like 245 pure muscle. How did you find a way to get D1 offers if you're not always 6'5"?
That's a great question. I'm happy you asked that. Yeah, I'm 5'10", 170 pounds. I'm pretty average height. I used to be skinnier last year. Now my muscles and my strength is on par with what it should be. Because I've really put a lot of stake in that. But yeah, my height's not anything to be to scoff at. It doesn't jump out. It's just, and even my measurable, it's hard. When your measurables don't jump off the page, when you're not 6'5", 200 or something, when you're kind of average height like me, you have to be a really good football player, right? And I'm decently fast and I'm a good athlete, but you just have to, the way you separate yourself is you excel on the field. You excel when it matters. You excel in those camps. You excel when they do the one-on-ones. That's really what it comes down to. And the good thing about football is there are a lot of smaller wide receivers are kind of becoming a little more common. You don't even have to be like crazy fast, crazy jumping high. Like you just have to be a really good route. Like the thing is, my strengths that I have, I do pretty well. Like I'm a very good route runner. I take a lot of pride in that. I have good hands. I'm a smart player. That's a big thing. I can kind of find a hole. And yeah, I mean, my size and the measurables that don't jump off the board probably were a reason why I didn't get more attention. Even though I'm grateful for what I got, because I did think I got a decent amount. But yeah, I mean, you got to realize that there's only a small percentage of people who are extremely tall, who are like kind of their measurables are jump off the board. So that's where you just kind of separate yourself with the hard work, and then you have to be really good and take pride in your strengths and know what those are and work on them. And I've kind of worked on everything. I've worked on, when you're a small receiver, you have to be really fast, right? So last offseason and this offseason, I'm always doing speed training. I'm doing all that stuff to be extremely quick, to be extremely fast. So
Yeah.
when you lack size, you have to make up in other things, and I think I've done that decently well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jack.
You've kind of said a few things about it, but kind of just to finish it off, like, what is just something you would tell like younger athletes, like me and Patrick's age or even younger, who are trying to make it to like a D1 school or even farther if they want to become like an NFL player or in any sport really? What would you tell them on how you've been able to get there?
Yeah, I mean, I tell guys like you kind of what I said earlier. Don't let people tell you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's still so much time. One thing I've kind of learned is everything before high school doesn't really matter that much. Like, no matter what team you played on, it was the highest team, the lower team, it doesn't really matter. No one cares. Like, in high school, it's a totally new slate. Because you have guys that kind of dropped off. You have new coaches. Yeah, that's kind of the biggest thing is don't get discouraged where you were. Once you get into high school, that's when you got to make it count. And, yeah, I mean, for guys like you, it's set a goal. That could be – it doesn't have to be sports. It could be anything. But work toward that goal. Set your actions and decisions along with that goal as best as you can.
Mhm.
And yeah, surround yourself with positive people, and yeah, just stay positive and really focus on what you can control. And yeah, the biggest thing is for guys like you in 8th grade, don't get discouraged where you are now, because honestly, no one cares what you did in 8th, 7th, 6th grade. They care what you did as a freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior. So, and a huge thing for me is keep your grades up. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean Ivy League. Like, obviously, you need your grades to be in Ivy League, but even to be at another school, if your grades are what holds you down, that's a killer. Like, colleges will look at kids, and if their grades aren't up to par, they've already checked you off the list, no matter how good you are. So, stay with your grades as a freshman, and build a good foundation. Because if you have a bad GPA freshman year, it's going to hurt you, even if you had great last 3 years. So yeah, the biggest thing for you guys is commit every day, and don't get discouraged or sidetracked, and just believe you can do it, and surround yourself with good people.
All right. Well, I think that's going to end the question and answer portion of this episode. Thank you, Luke, for answering all these questions.
Yeah.
But now we will move to pro football after Sunday's games and last night, because, I'm sorry, 2 nights ago on Monday. This should be going up on Wednesday. So
Yes.
first point is I'm going to start with the Patriots versus the Jets, Monday Night Football.
Mhm.
The Jets, for the first time, looked like an NFL team, if I'm being honest. They took the Patriots down to the wire. What happened to the Patriots? I'll ask both Jack and Luke. Jack, you first.
Tom Brady's gone. Tom Brady is probably the GOAT, I would say, and to not have a guy like that on your team anymore, it's hard to win, especially going from that. Cam Newton is obviously a good player. His past has been better than the present, but he's still an NFL quarterback. But I just think that team without Tom Brady, without Rob Gronkowski, a bunch of their guys on defense opted out. I think their team it's just not as good, and I think that's what's happened to them, just like that.
All right, Luke, how do you feel about the Patriots, especially for moving on from Tom Brady?
Yeah, I mean, I watched a little bit of the game. I didn't watch a ton, but I can tell you I was surprised when I saw the Jets playing with them and actually giving them a fight.
Yeah.
I think the Patriots are obviously in a tough spot. They're kind of reloading. I don't want to say rebuilding, but they're kind of trying out new guys and new people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Bill Belichick will get them in order. I mean, they're 3-5 now, I think. I thought the record was honestly better than it was when I watched the game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, the Patriots are always a second half of the season team. It always happens like that. But yeah, their defense really has to start locking it down, and Cam Newton just got to be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm sure they'll be fine, but it is surprising to see them like this. It doesn't happen all too often.
I think a lot of the guys on their team really need to take up that next man up mentality and just think that no matter what, if I need to come into the game, I'm going to show up and I'm going to play.
Yeah, injuries are a part of the game, as we all know. We've all had our favorite team suffer injuries that were crucial to at least one game. But as you said, next man up. Even for Cam Newton, he left from Carolina to go to New England. And although he's not like a backup coming in, it's like he has to be ready to play. Another point that I really saw is every good team didn't really blow anyone out of the water. Chiefs against Panthers was a close game. Undefeated Steelers against the 2-win Cowboys. That was a really close game.
Yeah.
The only good win would be that I can think of is Bills against the Seahawks, where two lost teams and the Bills came out and won. Josh Allen got back on track. What do you think is happening around the league, Luke?
I mean, you're saying just the league in general?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I haven't watched a ton of NFL football this year. I've had to work on some weekends. So I guess what I can really talk about is the Bears. if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, so the Bears, I think what people have seen about the Bears is that, well, I'll talk about the whole season first. First, like, it's a different season with COVID. You can have guys missing games, not because of injury, because of COVID, and you can have facilities shutting down and games being postponed. So I think it's shown that this year is different and people have to adjust. And there have been more injuries because there wasn't preseason games. They didn't have practice all summer. So that's kind of, I think, why the injuries have been big. But, yeah, regarding the Bears, I think people need to realize now that it's not necessarily Foles or Mitch, right? It's the team as a whole. I mean, I've been a Foles guy since the start, but he hasn't done much more than Mitch has. And I think our O-line has got to get better, and then the play calling is a big thing too. I believe in the Bears. Like, I think they can get back on track, but I think it's not a quarterback thing. It's the full team. Like, they got to execute on all cylinders.
Yeah. Jack, how about you? How do you feel around the league?
I could also talk about the Bears. I'll talk about more than that, but I also want to share what I think about the Bears. I think that they need to kind of I think you hit it right. They need to get it together as a whole. They've got a few guys playing well. Allen Robinson is playing really well this year. I think David Montgomery needs to be more consistent with his games because one day he'll have a really good game, and the next day he'll kind of be just like non-existent. So I think that he really needs to be consistent. And I don't think Nick Foles needs to be like that guy. I think he just needs to play quarterback for an NFL team because they have players on offense like Anthony Miller, like David Montgomery. He can just get them the ball and let them do the work. But I also do believe that their offensive line needs to get better. And defensively, I think they're playing pretty well defensively. So I'm not too worried about that, but I just think as a whole, they need to play better as a team. And the play call does need to get better.
So I'll put my input in on the Bears. You guys both hit really all of the points, but they have a good enough defense. They have a playoff caliber defense. Although, Luke, you said, like, this isn't just a quarterback problem, I do think it starts with the quarterback because they have some playmakers like Allen Robinson. The offense is just pretty much stalled. They were, I would agree, when they were 5-1, they were the worst 5-1 team. They've kind of fallen off. It was an easy schedule at the beginning, and they won like games.
They took advantage of it.
In the fourth quarter, rather. But I think that they need to either pick a quarterback up in free agency if they're a win now type mentality. But if they want to win, like, in the future, if they want a quarterback in the future, there are a lot of good quarterbacks. Trey Lance. I don't think they're going to be a high enough pick to get Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence, but there are some – this is a deep quarterback class coming in. So that should be a bright future for every team that needs a quarterback, really.
Yeah, I think that if it's Jets Giants with the number 2 or with the 1 and 2 picks in the draft, as long as Lawrence and Fields both declare for the draft, I think there's a good chance they go 1 and 2. That doesn't mean I think Justin Fields is the second best prospect. But that's not what it is when it comes to the NFL draft. Or in any draft. It's really team needs. And I think the Giants might be willing to take a quarterback like Justin Fields because Daniel Jones has not been what they wanted at the 6th pick. Especially this year. He probably exceeded expectations last year, even though he wasn't really good by any means. But this year he has not been great. And especially they have playmakers on the team despite Saquon Barkley being out. But Saquon Barkley wasn't like a receiving back anyway, so all he had to do was hand him off the ball. So I think Daniel Jones, it might be too early to give up on him, but I also think that Justin Fields is really good. And if they can get him, I think they should take him.
All right. We should just about wrap this up, maybe a couple more minutes. But yeah, any more comments about the NFL? We've been talking about the prospects these last couple minutes. But if, Luke, you have any more input that you want to –
Yeah, I'm a Browns fan. My parents are from Cleveland. So I want to talk about them a little bit. I think the Browns, they're so on and off. They play some great games, and they play some games when you're like, what was that? I know they had a bye week this week, but I think Baker's got to come to play. I think he's really talented. Losing OBJ is really tough, but I think they have a lot of upside, and it is exciting. Like being a Browns fan my whole life, we're not used to usually it's usually it's like there's no expectations, right?
Yeah.
It's like and if we're good, it's crazy that we're good. Now I think they've entered a stage where it's like expected. Like they're considered a good football team. They're not the old Cleveland Browns. They're considered a team that can play and beat anyone. So that's been refreshing to see, and I hope they can keep it rolling and get to the playoffs and make something happen, make a deep run.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead, Jack.
You go. No, you go.
All right. We only have just about a minute left, but really quickly, I'm going to add about the Browns. They are in one of the best divisions in all of football. The Ravens, who have the reigning MVP Lamar Jackson, the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers, and even the worst team in the league, or even the worst team in that division, the Bengals, aren't bad with like Joe Burrow, who is definitely one of, if not the best, rookie quarterback in the NFL. Jack, you got just about a minute.
Yeah, so I think with the Browns is they have the talent to be a good team. Not a great team, but they don't have OBJ. It's an unfortunate injury, but I think they have the talent. And also Nick Chubb comes back soon. So I believe that they have a chance. But that pretty much wraps it up. Luke, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was fun.
Congratulations on your Cornell scholarship.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Best of luck for your upcoming season.
Yep.
And we'll be rooting for you. We'll be watching.
Appreciate it. Whenever you guys need a guest, hit me up. I'm ready to come on.
Oh, we'll get you, man. We'll get you.
Yeah. Thank you for coming, like Jack said. Like, subscribe, comments should be on.
Subscribe to the boys. They're on the come up.
There it is.
Give them some love.
Thanks for watching, and if you want to be any ideas or you want to be a guest, drop it down below. But I think just about wrapped up.
We out.
See ya.